So starting right off, Hinge, girl, tell me the story. Tell me the details about how you and Silas met.
Oh no, not my version of Sierra's prayer. um, so I downloaded Hinge. I want to say a couple of weeks before the pandemic hit, and so did Silas, coincidentally. And everything shut down. I think a week later we matched, and maybe 2 weeks after that, we were two weirdos in Union Square Park in New York, sitting down 6 feet apart, getting to know each other, eating Uber Eats. So I knew early on for Silas that he was very much his own man, definitely had convictions, loved family, and he also appreciated my quirky humor. And for me, checked all my boxes, all my boxes. And then Martha's Vineyard was actually our first trip together. That's where I became his girlfriend. And then I want to say like 4 months after that, after meeting each other's families, it was like engagement. Boom. I think for any pandemic couple, everything felt like time was twice as long. So we were dating for about 6 months, but it really felt like a year and a half at that point. So yeah, that's Bay. That's Bay.
Okay, so with a relationship that moved rather quickly, but you guys bonded and connected, what was the decision to bring reality TV into the mix with Summer House?
You know, um, like I said, my first trip to the Vineyard was with Silas, and I had heard about it. I'm such a big history lover. I'd heard about it, and we just every year after took a group of friends. Bravo found out about that and was like, "Oh, okay, group of friends, Black folk, and on the Vineyard, we like this. What is this about?" And when it came down to, "Hey, do you guys want to do this or not?" The reality is we would have done it anyway. This time it's just cameras were there and we were still with our friends doing what we would have done regardless. So it was exciting to expose just a regular group of friends. And we're at such a newlyweds and him being in the service and myself with my career being set off, it felt like a really risky, daring thing to do. But at the same time, it just felt like a no-brainer. Like we don't have any regrets about it. Because at the end of the day, someone's gonna relate to somebody on the show. And the more representation, the better.
So you mentioned that it's your group of friends that you guys have had, and I love that because they're authentic and real connections. So I want to talk a little bit about your friendship with Mariah and your early days. You guys share a very special bond in your past and how you connected and being homeless and living out of a car. Can you talk a little bit about that and that friendship?
Absolutely. Mariah and I met in college, and she'll be the first to tell you, like, as soon as we met, we were like yin and yang, very opposite, but we clicked. Um, she's a single mom. And so from early on, with me living in New York and her being from Pittsburgh, I did encourage her to follow her dreams in New York. And New York isn't the easiest place to live, especially if you didn't grow up there, even if you lived there. So we did end up living out of her car, and I think my optimism, and she'll tell you, my optimism kind of got us through because I always knew that we would get out of it. And for her, it was the worst case scenario to, leave your son at home and then take a chance for a couple months and end up living out the car. It's not something you want to call back home and be like, yeah, everything's fine. We're out of the car. But at the same time, New York being the character that it is, that summer, we witnessed so many weird and funny odd things that if you couldn't catch it in the moment, you'd be like, what is happening? And later on with friends did find out that we had went through that. They were like, you have to share this because I know a friend that couch surfed and I know a friend that lived out of a car and didn't tell anybody. And I think that much like us deciding to do this show, was a part of us just believing if you share where you're at, someone can appreciate and relate to it. And so that's how the show was formed and my love for screenwriting began.
So you also have Jordan and Bria as your friends that joined
Yes.
you. Also, very excited to see you and Mariah's screenwriting adventures because the setup, your first series sounds really
Yes.
based on your story. So wanted to get that in. But
Thank you. Thank you.
um, Bria and Jordan, who you also authentically know. You guys worked at the Playboy Club together. So a little bit about those relationships.
Yeah, so Jordan and Bria and Shanice, who you'll meet a bit later on, we all worked at the Playboy Club in New York City. There was like 50 to 60 girls there. There was a small percentage of melanated girls. And so we instantly hit it off. We supported each other from day one. And so I became really close with Jordan and really close with Shanice. And Bria was always a bit younger than us. So we always treated her like the little sister. So because of that, her and Shanice are closer. But when it came down to should she come or not, absolutely, because we're literally bunny sisters for life. Like, we've gone through this experience that's so unique, and I have so much pride having had been a Playboy bunny. It's a unique experience, and anytime I have to like support them, to have fun with them, I'm up. Sign me up. Sign me up. And they're different in personalities. I think you'll see that Bria and Shanice are, you feel them in the room. You definitely know when they're there. And Jordan is such a vibe. And I look forward to people really getting to know her and what she's about. It's so easy to put her in a box. So I'm excited for you guys to see how phenomenal, multi-layered these women are, just like myself. But yeah, they drive me crazy, as any friends do.
That's what family is, and that's what friends are. That's what this group seemed like.
Sad.
So in discussing that, we see in the trailer and a little bit in the first episode that Silas has a couple of reservations regarding Jordan and that relationship. So I want to ask you, without going into that, what are your thoughts around single friends and married friends? And does that change once you move from one space to another?
Absolutely. I think it's a transition that a lot of people don't really talk enough about. It is not easy to commit your life to someone and then also have to deal with their friends and your friends and trying to blend it and make it work. It's not just marrying that person, it's everyone making the adjustment. And so with that conversation that you see in the trailer, I think about the drink. There's so much context that isn't there, but I'm excited to get the viewers' take on it as they watch the episodes each week. My friends know that I love them and that we're figuring it out. I'm trying to figure out how to show up for them. They're trying to figure out how to not treat me differently just because I have a husband who I love and is there for them at the drop of a hat. And that's one of the things I love most about Silas, is that my friends are super important to him because they're important to me. And same for his friends.
So, in kind of walking through some of his friends that we meet that are now your friends on the show, let's start with Justin, who is, I believe, Silas's frat, correct?
Yep, they're LBs. That is press. It's like an adopted brother for me, just like Jason is an adopted brother for Silas. So honestly, I met a lot of Silas's friends. And people don't talk about this enough, but when you meet someone's friends, you're quietly getting vetted. You're quietly seeing like, hey bro, what you think about her? And from the jump, Preston and I really hit it off. He's such a vibrant, passionate person that's so much fun that anything that we have or host, we have to include Preston. Like, it's not even like a conversation. We can automatically invite him and know he'll show up for us just like we show up for him.
I love that. So, a little bit into the different personalities that are there. Who do you think this season is the biggest troublemaker?
That is still hard for me to say to this day. I have to say, Bria brought an unexpected guest. And because of that, it was very hard for us to get on the same footing. And I think you'll get to see her this season navigate that with the rest of the house and how they feel about it. So I think she means well, but the way she handles things isn't exactly how the rest of us do. So you kind of see that play out over the season.
And I believe because I interviewed Bria and she said you. So
how you gonna defend the host? I'm the host.
We'll see. We'll see how things play out.
As you can see, we're still working through it.
But that's exciting. We're excited to see that. So moving on a bit, as is the case in usually these set of circumstances, you are coupled off, but there's various singles around. Who do you think is the biggest flirt this season?
This is my first time meeting Amir, but I have to say him hands down. One thing I love and I root for is a man that know how to court somebody. And Amir, what I adore about him, and he's like a little brother to me at this point, is that he gonna let it be known, like, hey, so who y'all fellas looking for? Okay, this is who I'm interested in, and I'm gonna go for her, and I'm gonna be a gentleman about it. Always gonna get my respect hand down, but he still gets the biggest flirt title.
I love that. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about Alex and well, let's talk about Alex first.
Yeah, homeboy.
What are your impressions of Alex? Alex seemed really smooth, really put together. All the gentlemen did, but what about Alex?
Look, Silas and I joke that he's like Langston Hughes, smooth, coordinated, but actually he's somewhere between Langston Hughes and Marcus Graham. I would put it like that. That's how I would sum up Alex. There's so many layers to him. He's such a good, soulful person. And, he's a little reserved. And I think that's because there's such a good person on the other side of that. So I think he had a slow burn for some of the ladies in the house. I initially thought and immediately go for it. But I think everyone, again, Silas's friends and my friends, they were like feeling each other a little more because they've been around each other before, but now they're living together. So it's a little different. Right. It's not the normal way of dating and getting to know somebody. So you get to see him navigate that from doing yoga with no shirt. I was clutching my pearls like, Alex, put a shirt on. What's happening? And you see it in the trailer, but you get to really see him navigate what dating looks like for him now.
So, and then finally, let's talk a little bit about Nick, who seems to rival all of the ladies' closets. He is fashion, and he's forward about that. He is very open about that.
I need to have a conversation with Nick's mother because she really raised him to be a put together brother. Okay. I think it's, I need him to come and raid my closet, add some things over here because again, his wardrobe's unmatched. I always have nothing but respect for someone who knows how to coordinate a shoe with a hat with a, you know what I mean? So he definitely brings the looks for us. And I appreciate that for sure. Because we love a good look on the Vineyard.
So speaking of the Vineyard, you mentioned that your first trip was with Silas. Did you know about it before and its history as far as Black people, or was that something that you learned on that trip? And how did you want to incorporate that into Summer House this season?
I'm such a big history lover. I was aware of the Vineyard, and I understand that that's not everyone's awareness, and that's fine. Now the secret's out about it. But history between the land owning to the Wampanoag tribe and then it later becoming a safe haven for, Black folks that weren't struggling a lot, and being that safe place, that fun place that every year we come, we know everybody place. I was aware of it, but it's different knowing about something from a book or a video essay or something, and then experiencing it when you're on that ferry and seeing the shores of the Vineyard for the first time. It's completely different. Nothing compares. And you can really feel the energy of the shoulders of all the people before that came before us.
So in saying that, you're bringing something different to Summer House, how do you think fans are going to respond when to this version of Summer House when we compare it to some of the others? The other seasons.
I think what's different is that they do get to they go back to the city throughout the week, and then they come back on the weekends. When we land, we're there. Whether it's on a little bitty plane or the ferry, we are there. And I think a friend said this, and it made a lot of sense to me. We're kind of like the baby of Summer House and Real Housewives of Atlanta, which I think the network, they've done this before. They know what they're doing. They know what audience needs. And putting us right after Real Housewives of Atlanta, first of all, is a huge honor, big shoes to fill. But I get it because there are nuances in our friend group that are similar to Summer House, but the dynamics are also similar to but I was aware of the Summer House franchise a little bit before. And then when it got confirmed that we were going to go on this franchise, I did a little bit more digging. So I love that either way, you feel like you're on vacation with them. You love the drama. You love the dynamics. And I think we're bringing that.
So as a budding Bravo celebrity, are you ready for the fan feedback? Because, you know, they are very serious. They are very diligent. They know details and they are putting things together. Is that something that is of concern for you? Are you excited about it? What are your thoughts around that?
You know, I fell in love with, even though I grew up mostly in Atlanta, I really did become a Bravo viewer with Real Housewives of Potomac. Because it was just so fascinating to me to see these women and their dynamics in this place, Potomac, that I had heard about, but again, wasn't aware too much about. So it was nice getting exposed to that part of that representation. I think for me, there's no real way to prepare for it. All I know is I don't really know how to be myself. And I'm gonna try to continue to be the best friend, best wife, best person that I can be and share that. I think it's a privilege to be able to have people even care about what you do. So I'll take it in stride. It's definitely not going to be easy because, again, I've been on that other side where you're like, she did what? Oh no, let me look up this real quick. I've been on that side. So I do have a different perspective and understanding of how curious and how invested you get. And I think it's a beautiful thing.
Amazing. So in wrapping up, what will viewers take away from this season if they tune in and become invested?
I think it's going to be so hard not to be invested just because we're still there to have fun. I hope it's an escape for viewers. I hope they can relate to us. I know they'll laugh with us. And kind of associate to at least one person. I know it's going to be a ride, just like most Bravo shows are, but it's exciting to be a younger crowd and bring a new generation of Bravo to the forefront. So it's exciting, it's an honor, and I'm just gonna have to be ready for it all because again, this group specifically is late 20s, late 30s, and you know, we have a different subset of problems that maybe the other franchises just aren't dealing with.